Hello everyone, welcome back to the table. So for me, this is new. I have the World War II tanks game and I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed it. So yesterday, as a matter of fact, today is Halloween, so October 31st, 2018. I went in October 30th and I saw this and I was like, what? And I went ahead and picked it up today. I didn't think I'd buy it, but then I was like, why not? So why did I get this? Well, first of all, modern. I really like the more modern stuff, and hopefully the game line will progress to have more vehicles, Bradleys, Apache helicopters, stuff like that. I think they're getting a lot of these model kits from Team Yankee, and that's similar, I think, what they did with the World War II. You know, they just use a lot of Flames of War stuff. So the two systems are, well, at least the vehicles are completely compatible. So you have all these leftover models. Why don't you just make the skirmish game? The skirmish game is actually really fun. I've played a lot of like X-Wing, but I do prefer tanks, and so the game system itself is pretty easy. In my mind, it's like taking World of Tanks, you know, and putting it to the table. It's not supposed to be a serious simulation or anything like that. But now this would be like taking Armored Warfare, which is an online computer game that I think is really fun too, and putting it to the table. Now this particular set is going to have one M1 and a T64. In Team Yankee you can have, I think, like the M1 and the M1A1. So I've got like a bunch of Abrams tank, I'd say a bunch, like 10 Abrams, and I have like 10 T72s, and I bought some Chieftains. But they're starting to sell the individual blisters for like Leopards, and that's one reason I like this, is this will let you play tanks. But, you know, you can buy like 3 tanks. You don't have to buy a whole bunch to play like a full Flames of War game. So let's go ahead and open this. And I thought I'd share this with you because I was also surprised I didn't see any YouTube stuff. Maybe now there's some stuff on YouTube. I don't know when this actually came out. It was a complete shock to me because I don't follow the Yale Force Studios or the, you know, Flames of War homepage at all. So this was a surprise. Now it says up here 2-player 30 minutes. I'd say yeah, probably the one M1 and 2 T64s. This is probably 30 minutes. As you add more vehicles, the time gets longer, and if you have really good dice rolls, it can still be a short game. So this is like really good just to put out, play a little skirmish, several tanks on several tanks. The back shows some of the cards, so you're going to have one card per vehicle, and then you have a bunch of smaller cards which you can purchase, because each side is going to, you know, say like this is a 50-point game or a 100-point game or a 300-point game, but then you buy vehicles to fill out your points per side. Here's the contents. We'll open the box and see the contents, but here's the back. Now before I open it, what I'm hoping, and I didn't read this, so I don't know, but my hope is they include cards for other tanks, because like I said, I do have some Chieftains and I have T72s, not T64s. So I will have 2 T64s, but it'd be nice if I could set up a more complete game, you know, using stuff I've already purchased. And that's what they had with the World War II game. They included a lot of extra Soviet stuff and some extra German stuff, so I could play, like, I had a lot of selection options. Alright, so here's the cover. Now, here is the sprue for the T64, and I think their kits are great. The only thing, when I'm looking for like model kits, there's another company, Plastic Soldier Company, and they make in the same scale 15mm vehicles, but for some reason the Battlefront models are bigger. So when you put the two vehicles like side by side, you can definitely tell that the Battlefront stuff is bigger, and you know, it's because Plastic Soldier Company is cheaper. You can buy a lot more plastic, so it's really hard to get a game like this and then maybe mix in a whole bunch of other stuff you might have. So you kind of almost feel stuck and committed buying this. But luckily, because again, you only need a few vehicles to really fill out a side, the price point should be okay. You know, should be alright. But anyway, there's a T64 kit, so there's the turret, the body. Now what's nice here is I don't see a whole lot of options. There's like, you know, open turret, you can be buttoned up or open. there's not like two versions of a T-64, so you have to decide which turret to go with. If you did, you could probably magnetize, but that was something else I liked about Plastic Soldier Company on some of their model kits. If they have a tank with different turret types, they usually include enough so you can make two complete turrets and just swap them out. And these are perfectly set up to be magnetized, but Battlefront usually gives you just enough pieces to specifically pick one model type. So, you know, for people who are really thinking about expanding out their collection of models and then playing a game, you almost are committed to pick one company and stick with it. So I kind of went with Plastic Soldier Company because it seems more versatile, but yet they got the game in a complete box here. So, you know, first world problems. But there's the second T-64 sprue. And, well, the color too. I don't know how authentic Russian that is, because I see here they went with this atrocious green for the Americans. So I'm assuming this is supposed to be American green that you have here. Yeah, when you get the actual Team Yankee, they come in like a nice neutral gray. This does say 2015, so I don't think maybe this exact sprue was made in 2015. That might be the mold from 2015. I wish I could remember the sprues I had for the Team Yankee. I don't think they were together like this. I think they were kind of stacked. So each tank had two sprues. So with the complexity, I will say though, with the Battlefront though, it seems like you sometimes get more options. And I can see right away you've got the bustles here, so you can actually create the M1A1 version, and that's what I'll do with this. In fact, it's got the two cannons right there. I don't see like cannon options for the T-64. I think the only option I really see for the T-64 is whether it's, you know, buttoned up or closed, or if you want to go with the optional mine plow. So the T-64, not too much, but again, with the Abrams, it'd be cool if you had two turrets. That way you could, well, I guess if you were really cool and could really magnetize the small cannon, then you could just pop out the cannon, because there's a significant change in size, because the basic M1 cannon is 105 millimeter, and then the M1A1 is 120, and there's really not a, yeah, they're visibly different here in size. Plus the M1A1, you got to kind of decide what you want to build, because that even affects the side skirts that you might have. So yeah, just a couple decisions on what you want to make specifically. But for me, I'll go with the M1A1. That way I have it for when I want it. But ultimately, it won't really matter. I don't think your opponent is going to look and go, oh, I think that slightly bigger barrel is the 120, so you can't proxy out that vehicle, sorry. Luckily with a friendly game like this, it really shouldn't matter which one you build, so I just go with the 120. Now we get 6 dice. This is great. So this is red and blue, and I wish these had a Soviet symbol on them or an American. I think my the World War II game came with like black and gray or something like that, and they did have, I think in place of the 6 they had like the German flag, and so these are kind of, I mean, it's nice to have dice, but I would have liked to have had something a little more spruced up. Before we look at cards, now what do you get as far as cardboard? So that was something nice about the World War II package, is for people like this set, it really is designed for people who are just getting into gaming. So we have here the rules. This has got Leopard 2s on the cover. Rules aren't super complicated at all. Oh, it's got, looks like it's going to have some rules for helicopters, which is fantastic. T-64 is an example. M1 Abrams, I got the M60. Yeah, so this will already have some cool stuff that I can use. As long as I got the cards, I can use some things already from my Team Yankee collection. So the rule book is great, full colored, and the rules should not be too different than the World War II game, but I don't know because I haven't read them yet. Then we have here, oh yeah, I mean they're great. Like, I had to admit though, the Flames of War rule system really isn't that bad. And it's just that when I see people play it with like a large amount of stuff, it's what I call like a parking lot game, because you're going to have to move, like, you know, you got 10 vehicles lined up and you're like, okay, here comes my battalion, you know, and it doesn't look very realistic. This, I think, is more in line with how the system should be. Small skirmish stuff. You got a couple IS tanks, probably a T-34 there. I'm looking upside down. You know, it's got a couple Panzer tanks here. So I think the system really shines. And even though the rules are different between tanks and the Flames of War, I mean, they're way different. But I don't know, for some reason, I don't know, I guess I just like the smaller stuff. But anyway, I'm just pointing out they've got a Stalingrad expansion, so it just comes with a few tanks. I don't even see infantry there. Nope. KV, oh, it's got a KV, not an IS, sorry. It's got a KV, a T-34, and a Valentine. And then a Panzer III and a Panzer IV. Then on here is the Team Yankee stuff. Alright, anyway. So cards, we'll just open this up. Usually this big stack of cards are vehicles. So already my hopes are up that there's a lot of vehicles. This plastic is being a little more complicated to rip open. I'm going to use my teeth. 1 second. I know, that's probably gross and disgusting. I don't know who's handled this, but usually there's a packed by. Oh, the cardboard. I didn't even show you the cardboard. I mentioned cardboard and didn't even show it. So with the World War II, you had a couple pieces of terrain. So actually I can use stuff from my World War II because it also had houses. But this looks like it's got more terrain than houses. We'll rip the plastic off this first before we do the cards. And I see here it's got something marked low, so that's probably going to be with your helicopters to mark height. I'll show you that in a second. I'm ripping the plastic off camera, it's hard to see. We got low indicators, that's probably for helicopters. If the reverse might say high, ooh, good guess. So I'm thinking that's the helicopters. Tactical advantage, I don't remember a tactical advantage token in the World War II. And then I guess I don't remember ABCDs either, but anyway, here's a couple of the measuring sticks. Yeah, I think the other game had like maybe 2. Each person gets 1, and they're set length, but your tank moves 1, 2, or 3 segments depending on its speed, which is nice because a lot of games that use sticks like that for measurement, you got to have like a whole bunch for different lengths that you want. This was nice. It's just 1 length, but how many you use is what's determined by the tank stats. Here you've got damage tokens, objective markers. There's a couple small buildings. That looks like the top of a McDonald's there in Germany maybe. And then the tracks to mark your movement. And I've seen people that already got like vinyl acrylic type ones destroyed. So movement destroyed, there's some rubble, and then another tree. So really not much different than the World War II. Okay, let's finish the cards. So already I do see, not that we'll look at all of these, but okay, so here's, I think this is a damage deck. I see a number 4. What's that for? That might be the cost. Okay, so a couple of these are just leftover cards of things you can purchase. This looks like the cost is on the back. So for example, this one costs 4, and what you get for your 4 is Mr. Richard Kelp, +2 shooting in the shooting phase. So you just buy modifiers, and then here's the Tanks the Modern Age damage deck. So when you get like a critical hit, boom, you pull a card. Stunned crew. So again, if you played X-Wing, very, very familiar. I mean, if you played the World War II tanks, like, it looks exactly the same, which is great. That means I should have very little learning curve. Well, at least I assume that was the cost. The cost is actually here. I just saw the number and thought maybe they put the cost on the back, but yeah, they did maybe for people, because here's a card which I guess is some sort of scout card. Well, it says this card must be placed face up. and it's the applique armor. So I guess some of these you get to play face down. I think when we did the World War II, we just placed everything face up. Maybe you don't actually have to. But anyway, there you go. You got special commanders you can get, special equipment you can get to pimp out your tanks. And I didn't count how many cards it is, but you get quite a few to purchase. And then some of them will be linked to a nationality or maybe even a specific tank type that you can use. So you can't always put everything with every tank. Like for example, Sean Bannon. I believe that's a character out of the book Team Yankee as well, and he specifically is American. And then Yuri Proteknov is a Russian, and so he specifically has a Russian symbol. And then they got some that will be generic, and they have a little globe. That means anybody can purchase it. These are really sticking together. It's a little globe in the corner. Crew loader. Okay, so anyway, let's see. What do we got? This is what I was waiting on. So this also includes, yeah, it looks like this is going to include most of the stuff that launched with Team Yankee. So you got Marines, so it's already got a LAV-25, a tow Humvee, an LAV-AT. Well, this is a 163, but it's like a anti-aircraft cannon stuck on a 113 chassis, an M60 Patton tank, an M901. So again, it's like a M113, but this one's got a missile on it. There's a Cobra. Good. So this does include helicopter. And there's your stuck together. So you can make an M1 Abrams. Okay, so you can just go with that one. They also have an IP, which is like an improved M1 Abrams, and they do have, because I'm going to build them and use them, the M1A1. Nice. Now the thing is, even though I might have like 10 of these, you're technically supposed to have one per tank that you use, but I've kind of have played in the past where it doesn't matter. As long as you got a stat card and you just put all your markers out or use something to indicate, you know, what goes to different tanks. There's enough in the box that you can play like 3 vehicles pretty comfortably per person. BMP-1, just go through these now. BMP-2, T-55, because I've seen T-55 kits, and there's a T-55 AM2 variant, and then the T-62, T-62M. Here's the T-64. So only one version of T-64. And of course, the T-72, which is good because again, I've got multiple T-72s. I also have a couple of Hinds. So I have Hinds, I have the Cobras. What I did though for the helicopters, let me show you. I did get the Russian starter, so I put together, oh, it's stuck in there on something. Something is pinning this down, but anyway, it's magnetized. So I did put together the Hinds, but what I did is I don't like the Cobra helicopter, so I actually went on Amazon and they had, in the scale, they had Apaches and I painted them up. So I've actually, Apaches, and I'll probably use the Cobra stats and whatnot, but I just think the Apache looks way cooler. Yeah. I mean, they don't play the same at all, but, you know, I think what I did once before too is I just used the Hind rules for the Apache because they're both pop-up killers, whereas the Huey was supposed to be kind of a fast mover. Spartan, so you got British stuff, swing fire strikers. Yeah, there you go, Chieftains. So I can play Chieftains, I can play my M1s. Yeah, and I built mine is with the Steel Brew, the extra armor on the front. From a distance, you can't tell what it is. Here's some of the French. So it's got an AMX French tank, artillery, their APC. I've got a Gazelle helicopter. So I think the game is still early enough as far as Team Yankee goes and the models that I think this box will let you play and make a force from everything you have with your Team Yankee collection. In fact, here's Team Yankee. Sharpshooter. When attacking a model that is not within close range, models in this platoon may exchange up to 1 critical hit. Oh, that's cool, whatever that means. Red Banner. So it looks like a team card. I don't remember team cards being in the World War II version, so it's probably new. 1st Panzer, the Berlin Brigade, and I can't speak French, but Cuirassier Squadron. Nice. Anyway, that's everything. So you get your cards, you get your vehicle cards, you get your damage cards over here, you get your modifying unit cards, you get a bunch of dice, you get an assembly sheet, which I didn't show you the first time out. I don't know if it shows, well, it does mention painting, but it just kind of tells you, it doesn't show you what they look like painted. You get your cardboard, so I have one big forest. You get damage markers, speed markers, some houses which have flip, so you have destroyed or not destroyed. Another little forest. High-low indicators for your helicopters. Tactical advantage token, which the player with advantage wins initiative ties. Okay, great. And 2 measuring sticks, one for you and your opponent. An advertisement. A really nice looking rule book. And then you get your 3 tanks. You get your M1. So out of the box, I still think this is a really good value. This was 25 bucks, and I'm sure once this gets out more, you could probably find it cheaper. But for 3 tanks and all the bits and pieces to play a full game, plus additional cards so you can use additional things that you have, that's a lot of good gaming value in a box. And if this is the only thing that you have, you're off to a great start in modern gaming. And then again, if modern gaming isn't your thing, they got a World War II version. So if you've not seen this before, you know, check it out if you want to get into the gaming. I don't think this is a bad way to go. The game itself, I mean, that would be another video to talk about how it plays. Again, it's not overly complicated. It's not a simulation. It's basically like taking one of those arcade games from the internet like Armored Warfare or World of Tanks and just putting them on the tabletop. So still a good gaming experience. Alright, well, let me know what you think. I don't know if you've seen it, have interest in it, but leave some thoughts if you want. And we'll see you around for another video later. Thanks. Bye.